a nostalgia critic. I remember it so you don't have to. A lot of movies try hard to shock us nowadays, with trigger words, disturbing imagery, gross ideas, but many of them come out as exactly that, just trigger words, disturbing imagery, and gross ideas. What makes something truly shocking is the meaning behind it. A little kid can say a lot of bad things, but the message fueling it is what declares if it's worth the effort to pay attention to. So what if I told you in our PC media there was a smart, funny film that said giant corporations are good, manipulating the masses should be treasured, haggling with cancer patients is an art, public figures pushing good health shouldn't be trusted, body counts can lead to long friendships, and of course, smoking is fucking cool. You'd say, how the hell did that get a wide release and why the fuck aren't I talking about it? Well, that movie is a little comic masterpiece called Thank You for Smoking. Jason Reitman's first film that focuses on characters and values that you'd more likely see as the villains in a bad after-school special. Our star is Nick Nalier, played by Aaron Eckhart, a lobbyist and spokesperson for the tobacco industry whose job is to convince as many people as possible that smoking is not only good for you, it's great for you. And the funny thing is, he's actually kind of good at it.
It's not only our hope, it's in our best interest to keep Robin alive and smoking. The Ron Goodies of this world want the Robin Willigers to die so that their budgets will go up. This is nothing less than trafficking in human misery, and you, sir, ought to be ashamed of yourself.
His arch rival is a senator from Vermont, played by William H. Macy, who's trying to prove what should be very easy, that smoking is bad for you. But as we see, the senator is just as manipulative as the tobacco companies, just on the other side.
When you're looking for a cancer kid, he should be hopeless. He should have a wheelchair, a little pet goldfish he carries around in a Ziploc bag. Hopeless.
How often do you see a senator promoting healthy living as the villain in anything? He meets every week with two other spokespeople for corporations that claimed a lot of lives to compare and contrast who's doing the most damage. They playfully call themselves the Merchants of Death. Why, he even meets with media experts to spread more and more the message that smoking is great and even tries to encourage children to pick it up.
Teen smoking, our bread and butter, is falling like a shit from heaven. We sell cigarettes, and they're cool, available, and addictive. The job is almost done for us.
To the film's credit, it makes no qualms that it's doing very dirty things. But what makes it so interesting is that it makes us root for what many would consider the bad guy just because of how incredibly likable he is. Nick Nalier is charming, smart, loves what he does, is good at what he does, but most importantly and even surprisingly, has a moral center, especially when it comes to raising his son. He wants his boy to turn out well, but raising him in smart and ethical values is tricky given what he does. He does, however, explain what he does rather well.
Let's say that you're defending chocolate, and I'm defending vanilla.
It's the best ice cream. I wouldn't order any of it.
I believe that we need freedom and choice when it comes to our ice cream, and that, Joy Naylor, that is the definition of liberty.
But you didn't prove that vanilla was the best.
I didn't have to. I proved that you're wrong, and if you're wrong, I'm right.
As you'd expect, this creates conflict and asking himself what is truly right or wrong, and nowhere is that more prevalent than in the film's climax. He has to go up against the senator after his lowest moment and prove that what he's doing is ethical, sound, and wise, and all while his kid is watching. The interesting thing, though, is where most movies would take the path of having him realize he's evil and turn his life around, he instead makes a different decision, but nevertheless just as important: to stop being morally vague and stand firm, focused, and detailed about his beliefs.
It's called education. It doesn't come off the side of a cigarette cart. It comes from our teachers, and more importantly, our parents. It is the job of every parent to warn their children of all the dangers of the world, including cigarettes, so that one day when they get older, they can choose for themselves.
And yes, that belief is saying that smoking is okay.
On his 18th birthday, will you share a cigarette with him? You seem to have a lot to say about how we should raise our children. What of your own?
If he really wants a cigarette, I'll buy him his first pack.
Really think about that. The happy ending is our main character teaching his child that if he wants to smoke, he should be allowed to. Try to think of any other movie nowadays that could not only do that, but do that in a smart, intelligent way. In fact, he does it with an argument that's practically ahead of its time. He brings up how Vermont, a big promoter of cheese, is a bigger killer than cigarettes because of cholesterol, and that their promotion of the product has done much more damage than the tobacco companies ever could, leading, of course, to one of the film's funniest lines.
The great state of Vermont will not apologize for its cheese.
This is an issue nowadays that's getting more and more attention. There's news specials, movies, books, and yes, even lobbyists trying to prove that a lot of our food is poison. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing is up for debate, and yeah, I guess it is being debated. But it does come down to what that issue and this film are all about. Choice. The film isn't really about smoking, it's about validating the rhetoric and allowing you to do what you want to do with your body. Don't believe me? Watch the film again and answer me this question. How many people do you see smoke? Nobody. There is not a single shot of anybody puffing anything in the entire movie. They talk about it endlessly from beginning to end, but not once does anyone ever take a puff of a cigarette. Because that's not what the film is about. Smoking is used as a symbol for the hazards we're going to subject ourselves to, but nevertheless have the right to subject ourselves to it. The smoking is very similar to our main character. We know he's bad for us, and we'd probably be healthier if we didn't allow him into our lives, but there is value to his existence. We can admire that he doesn't force anyone to join his side, he convinces them, which is a trait we'd all love to acquire. And not only does he do it well, he does it with passion. He loves what he does. He loves how not only can he do it legally, but as creatively as possible. In fact, the alternate ending almost ruins the entire film by going against everything that it's been standing for, stabbing in the back all the controversial truths that make it so shockingly unique. Thank God they went with the original and better ending. A conclusion that Nick sees as a victory for him, but the senator sees as a failure for him. Two totally different viewpoints, yet the exact same outcome. Again, it's the choice of the audience to decide whether this was an ethical move or not. And the great thing is, the whole entire movie's like that. You could see this film as a story about a terrible world like 1984, righteous rebels like V for Vendetta, or somewhere in between like Fight Club. But the difference between those movies that were so shocking in their day and Thank You for Smoking is those stories always centered around a corrupt and controlled environment that people fought against. With this, it's embracing the corrupt and controlled environment and actually seeing the advantages of it. That seems a million times more shocking than any of these other films. It has a point of view that is almost never seen, at least not in such a major mass market. It's a message that's manipulative, diabolical, and most shockingly, you find kind of agreeing with part of it. How much is intentional satire and ethical truth is up to the viewer. But in most shocking films, it's pretty easy to tell who you're supposed to root for and who you're not. This film leaves it totally up to the viewer. It's kind of like Patton. Some people can watch the film and love him, other people can watch the film and hate him. But neither one is incorrect. It's just different point of views of hard truths. Thank You for Smoking walks that line but still has the balls to stamp unpopular opinions that'll get anyone who sees it talking. So, why aren't more people talking about it? Maybe because its shock tactics are different than most other shock tactics in film. It didn't have the gore, sex, or trigger words that get most controversial movies the huge amount of attention they usually get. And don't get me wrong, it didn't bomb or anything. But if this came out today, chances are it would probably get a few more people upset. However, for those that were fortunate enough to discover this little gem, it opens up a world of controversy that not only becomes interesting to talk about, but surprisingly fun to talk about. How many other films make it enjoyable to talk about something that's uncomfortable? It's enjoyably uncomfortable, a beautiful oxymoron. It's a brilliant comedy that needs to be talked about, shunned, loved, and hated more than it is. Put simply, it represents everything in America that's wonderful and terrible, both at the same time. And speaking of shocking violence and gore, isn't there a certain something that's coming up next month? everybody, Doug Walker here doing the charity shout out, and this is one that has definitely been talked about in the past and has gotten a lot of promotion but deserves even more. It's called DonorsChoose.org, and this is a wonderful charity that donates money to schools that need all sorts of things. They need books, they need computers, they need money for everything education related. And as everybody knows, I mean, education is so important. Every child deserves as much education as possible and the same amount of education, and so many of them aren't getting it, and they just need to go to a place where they feel they can learn and they won't be afraid of the place, and it can feel comforting and it can feel warm and it can feel wonderful, and that's what this charity does. And the wonderful thing, I mean the absolutely fantastic thing about it, is that you know exactly where the money is going because you choose where it's going. You say exactly to what project or what event you want the money to go to. You literally search all of these listings saying we need money for books, we need money for computers, whatever, and you can donate whatever amount that you want. So that's one of the great things about it. This has gotten a lot of attention from celebrities like Stephen Colbert and Oprah Winfrey, and there's so many people that just praise the heck out of it. We've done charity auctions for them before. It is definitely a good place to put your money because you know exactly where it's going and you know it's going to a good cause. So definitely, if you get a chance, go check it out. Education is so important. You know, we are giving our world to these kids and they are going to grow up and they are going to be the leaders. So the more they can learn, the more intelligent they can be, and the more they have opportunity to that education, the better world we're going to create. So please definitely go and check it out.